Hello, hello, everyone. So last night I did a 30-minute reading on some questions for the Karen Read verdict. And long story short, I got myself a new pair of headphones and gave Gavin my old ones, but never disconnected them from my laptop. So the entire 30-minute reading has no sound. I was going to try and do a voiceover of it, but I talked too fast, and it was not working out like I wanted it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little recap on what came out in that reading, because I can't unknow what the reading said, right? So it's hard for me to like go back in time and be like, I don't know this and redo that reading. I can't do that. So I'm going to tell you what I got in that reading. And then at the end of this, I'm going to show you the reading, even though there's no sound, so that if you would like to watch it, you can. Shows you that I did the reading that I'm talking about. I don't know. I have a USB hub coming so that I can plug in my microphone and my video camera at the same time. So going forward, that won't be an issue and the sound will be a little bit better, but right now I got to do what we got to do, I guess. This is an energy reading. It's all alleged, my opinion, not facts. So in the reading, I was saying how Nicole sent me some questions and I got through about the first paragraph of them. The first one was, how does John feel about the mistrial? And essentially what I was getting, I got the frozen preserved card. And essentially it was this energy of Karen being put on hold so that the truth has the opportunity to come to the surface. In the reading, it was pointing towards one man in particular that John would like to pay for this, and almost the energy of certain things not adding up that have came out in trial, and now that the verdict, is the mistrial, there's this feeling of people beginning to turn on one another, because if I'm explaining away why this is missing or why I did this or what have you, it's almost like this is being now approached from a different angle, the angle of, okay, we had a mistrial here, right? So if we want to try and re-prosecute or whatever Karen, we're going to have to fill in what didn't go right the first time that did not allow for a guilty verdict to come. So there's this energy that was coming through of approaching the investigative angle from a different perspective, and people behind the scenes starting to slowly turn on one another so that they did not get in trouble for their untruths. How does John feel about Karen? This was the frozen preserved card, I believe, came out for this question. And essentially the message was, even though that it was rocky between us and we didn't always see eye to eye, he still would like the truth to come out, and kept verifying over and over. I got marriage, wedding in reverse, couple in reverse. Every time I approached it from the angle of like, how do you feel about Karen? So the message is coming through where that of, it's not her we should be looking at, it is the work colleagues. Okay. How does John feel about his parents? His mom was seen crying. I don't know if they were happy tears or not, is what Nicole wrote. And essentially the message with that was her starting to see the holes being poked in certain narratives that aren't adding up. And there's this feeling of like, okay, at least there's room for the truth to come to the surface. The defense attorneys, the message coming through with the defense attorneys was essentially needing to approach from a different angle and try and get people to feel like they're backed into a corner where, in order to explain away your part, you'd have to kind of start to turn on this person. The prosecution, essentially the whole thing I said about approaching it from a different angle. And that is as far as I got. Again, I'm going to attach that reading at the end of this. I got a couple very direct, I forget what the question was, but at one point I said, can I have a confirmation? I think it was about narrowing down to focus on that one particular man, because I kept getting the man card that came up. So narrowing in about focusing on that one particular man. And then I said, can I have a confirmation from John? And the yes with the thumbs up card flipped over. So there was you'll see my open mouth face if you watch the end. So we're going to pick up where we left off. If you would like to see the reading that I was just talking about, I will attach it at the end. Again, it has no sound. So great. All right, this is an energy reading. It's all alleged, my opinion, not fact. All right, let's start here. Move this over a little bit. One second. Will there be any arrests made in John O'Keefe's death now that there has been a mistrial for Karen Read? Rival competition, change of plans in reverse, female in reverse. That's the male that I just referenced. We kept getting the male card in the last reading. Now we have female in reverse. So they weren't able to take Karen down. Change of plans in reverse. Essentially what I'm getting from this is the plan the whole time was to push towards some kind of rival competition. This is a fight on this card. So in the last reading, I kept getting something about the injuries not lining up with the narrative, and then the defense planning to push harder on the injury angle. Like if the car hit him hard enough to move him from point A to point B, why was there no bruises? Why does the scratches on the arm look like it's from a dog? I felt like they were going to start to narrow in on those aspects, and that's what this reads like to me. Change of plans in reverse. The plan was, if that they were unable to get a conviction here, rival competition, the defense was going to go in on the injury or potential fight angle of this. Blackmail paid off in reverse because, as I said, they're all going to start to turn on one another. And in reference to them, we kept getting the family card upright and reversed. So blackmail paid off in reverse. The blackmail that was previously in place is no longer going to work because there's evidence to back it up. The evidence is going to outweigh the potential payoff. So like, yeah, here's money for silence, but are you going to actually get in legal trouble for what you're being silent about is the energy with that. Revenge in reverse. Are you going to get in legal trouble for what you're being silent about? You're trying to hide this revenge plot that was a fight, and you're not going to be able to do that for much longer. I just had a bunch of cards fall on the floor. Mental health in reverse. They got it wrong in reverse. Legal proceedings in reverse. This to me is they're worried about a U-turn coming back around. Legal proceedings in reverse. Those who were not on the stand or on the chopping block the first time, looping it back around. They got it wrong in reverse is they're looking at the right angles now. They're looking at the right angles now, and they're worried because they're trying to get out of getting caught for their role in this. And gift in reverse, taking back some kind of deal, taking back some kind of testimony. Just had a bunch fall on the floor. Hidden network in reverse, a hidden network being exposed. Thief for what was previously missing from evidence or testimony. Imprisonment. They're trying to avoid going to legal proceedings because they're worried about going to jail. Inside in reverse, all of their information being aired out and showing that they're lying, acting and drama, showing that they're putting on a show of lies and it's going to be exposed. And there's the dominoes all going to start to fall. So essentially what we're getting from this is people beginning to have to give information that they wouldn't otherwise want to give about those who were keeping their secrets, but it's to the point where if I keep your secrets, I'm going to be exposing myself for my own. So it's to the end of the rope in terms of what blackmail was able to silence. The end of the rope in terms of what blackmail was able to silence. Secret trip, friend in reverse. They're unable to go along with keeping one another's secrets. They're going to have to start to turn on one another. So the question was, will there be any arrests made in John O'Keefe's death now that there is a mistrial for Karen Read? Can I have a very direct 2-card response to that from John? Celebrity. Secret. I feel like they're going to try really hard to get that not to happen, almost as if we start to turn on one another, but then I call in another form of protection to see if there's any way that that person can protect me, even though I'm being turned on. Law enforcement. I wouldn't say any immediate arrest. No, I would say potentially deals attempted to being made behind the scenes to avoid that happening. Paper trail, accident, an accidental paper trail. It's almost as if behind the scenes, one person accidentally pushes over that first domino, and then there's an attempt to see if they can stop the other dominoes from falling. Affluent, wealthy, upper class. Why do I did that in the last reading too. I said mighty instead of affluent. Affluent, wealthy, upper class in reverse. And in the last reading, that was the mighty will fall. So I think there's potential for that to happen, but I think it's going to be down the line, if anything. And there's going to be an attempt to make certain deals or pull in certain protection so that they can avoid those potential arrests. So I don't think we're there yet. Hotel, motel, man. Someone needs to hand the key about this mail that John really wants to see go down for this. What would this key be? So there will be an arrest if someone one person hands another person a key or some kind of information about this mail. What is this key? Outside, out in the open in reverse, something that's hidden. Alive in reverse, parental. Alive in reverse, parental figure in reverse. Something being hidden. Parental figure in reverse would be a son of a parent. Alive in reverse would be something to do with the death. Is this that someone needs to hand over a key piece of information about the son, the one, what was it, the Albert's son or the, whose son is that? You know which son I'm talking about. One of the adults in the household, their son. Is this that someone needs to give information about him, or is this that he's the one who they're trying to get to hand over information? Royalty. Family royalties. So family royalty would be something that is owed. So you get your royalties, you get what's due to you about the family. You get what's coming to you. Is it fair to say that what this is meaning is that they are hopeful that someone will give some kind of information on the son? I think he was 17 at the time. Top secret. Military operation in reverse. They need a piece of how things went down handed over to them, and something involving the younger, the son, the 17-year-old. Is that fair to say? Optical illusion in reverse, seeing things clearly. So essentially, they're hopeful that the adults will turn on the younger one to save themselves. Money in reverse. Why is it reverse? Taking something. Royalty would be giving. That would be taking. Is it fair to say that there's going to be pressure put on at least one of the adults will give you a deal if you give information about the son and his role in what happened that night? Woods concealed in reverse, coming out, information coming out. If you unconceal what you know, we'll give you a deal. I have a information from John. Digital in reverse, unconceal. Digital would be the evidence or the proof. So is it fair to say that something that was deleted off of someone's phone has some kind of evidence of the son having a role in this? Pattern repetition in reverse, greed. Breaking a pattern because I want what I want. Not typically what you do, because you do more when you're trying to protect family. You take it the extra mile. Organized crime in reverse. Is it fair to say that the male that was referenced in the last reading and now in this reading that John really wants to pay for what happened is that younger son? Church? True. False in reverse, true. Church can often represent the mindset in this deck for me. Like, that's the mindset that I am committed to. And then truth, false in reverse. Allegedly, my opinion, no facts. I feel like John wants the son of one of the men to pay for what happened here. So parental figure in reverse. I'm the son of one of the men. 3 cards. Ego in reverse came out, upraised. So we have, or face up. So ego being exposed about the son. Acting drama in reverse. Science experiment. Science experiment kept coming out in reference to Jen searching on her phone. How long does it take someone to die in the snow or the cold? Ego exposed. Acting drama in reverse. I don't want any drama. Is it fair to say that someone's ego caused, a son's ego caused them to take something too far, and they didn't want any drama, so they had to leave him out there somewhere that he wouldn't be found until it was too late for him to be revived, so that they could cover up what someone's ego, what a son's ego made them do? Sad emotional in reverse. Rival competition in reverse. From that person with the wounded ego, I get off on making you pay, or I get off on having the power over you. Confirm. I get off on having the power over you. Confirm. Interesting. Okay. Will the focus of the investigation shift into the McCabe's having something to do with John O'Keefe's death? Regret in reverse, dismemberment in reverse, deep state. Regret being exposed as all the pieces start to come together. Deep state would be in reference to the McCabe's. Let me get confirmations for all of these. Regret in reverse, digital. Jen McCabe, regret being exposed about what is going to be uncovered or further talked about that has already been uncovered in terms of digital phone data, tracking, tracing, dismemberment in reverse, AI in reverse, all the pieces starting to come together and real information starting to come out. Deep state, surveillance, they're watching them. So will the focus of the investigation shift into the McCabe's having something to do? Starting to see the regret that they're feeling about what is going to be and has been exposed in terms of digital evidence, all the pieces starting to come together as real information coming out. They're starting to realize that they have stuff on them to look into and everybody's watching. Will the focus of the investigation shift into the McCabe's having something to do with John O'Keefe's death? I read this to be yes. Government. Okay. Was the jury conflicted with evidence or fear for their safety after the trial? Conflicted with evidence. Runaway, escape, crossroad in reverse. I'm trying to escape the end of the road. Conflicted with evidence or fear for their safety. I'm trying to escape the end. So that wouldn't be conflicted with evidence. That would be fear for safety. Self-sabotage, drugs and poison. So it's like a mirror. He's looking that way, but he's also looking that way. Drugs and poison would be something that could unalive you. Self-sabotage would be, I'm afraid of doing something that could have me unalived. So I'm trying to escape from the end of this. So to me, and can I have a confirmation from John, this reads to me like fear for their safety after the trial, as opposed to conflicted with evidence. This doesn't read conflicted with evidence. This reads, I'm trying to get away from having to make a final decision because I don't want to be the one responsible for my own demise. Confirmation from John. True. False in reverse. I really hope the sound is working this time. 1 second. Let me check that. Okay, we're good. Okay. All right. The jury wrote a note for the judge to read, and that is, quote, despite our commitment to the duty entrusted to us, we find ourselves deeply divided by the fundamental differences in our opinions and state of mind. God, higher power, somebody's not letting somebody who there was an attempt to corrupt them is feeling like they want to do the right thing. Is that fair to say? Secret government program. Somebody who they attempted to corrupt wants to do the right thing. I can't say guilty if I don't feel guilty, even if somebody told me that that's what I need to say. Secret exposed, secret trip in reverse. The divergence in our views are not rooted in a lack of understanding or effort, but deeply held convictions that each of us carry, ultimately leading to a point where consensus is unattainable. Anger, rage in reverse, true. Is it fair to say that there was an attempt, allegedly my opinion, for outside influence to convince a juror that Karen was just so angry that she did this, but someone is not allowing themselves to be swayed because they don't feel like it's the right thing to do? Murder in reverse, because they don't think she did it. And they're not going to say that they think that she did if they don't think that she did. We recognize the weight of this admission and the implication it holds. Military operation, red flag in reverse. We recognize the weight of this admission and the implication it holds. Because it looks like there's an attempt, red flag in reverse, there's an attempt to hide red flags. This going to a mistrial looks like someone overstepped their boundaries and tried to convince someone to make the decision that the outside influence wanted them to make. Corrupted media source in reverse, in order to control the narrative. So is it fair to say there was an attempt to get people to go with a narrative that their own conscience did not allow them to go with because they did not believe that Karen did this and were unwilling to put that guilty verdict? Truth. That was direct. Okay. I'm going to do more questions, but I'm going to wrap this up for now just because I'm adding that silent reading at the end. But being that everything happens for a reason, and as frustrated as I am with that happening, I also want to see what the reason for it happening is. So I feel as though it has something to do with the digital component of the investigation. So essentially, I recorded a whole video that had information that was pertinent to the trial, but it was unable to be heard. So I had information that was pertinent to the trial, but it was unable to be heard. What could that mean in terms of what is coming up ahead from John? What could that mean? Or what is it, as above, so below, everything means something. So like, what is that a reference of? Or what is that like a sign of, I guess you could say? Natural causes in reverse. So I recorded a whole video. You couldn't hear it, but there was pertinent information in reverse. This is the card about, in that reading, I kept referencing, if they can get the first domino to fall over, all of the other ones will fall in line. As in, if they can get one person to flip on someone else, everyone else will start to do so. This is, they didn't want certain things heard. Just like the video, you could see it, you can't hear it, right? They didn't want certain things heard because it would be the knocking down of that first domino strategy. And that was their strategy, to have certain things not come out about something digital, some kind of fraud, cybercrime technically, if you are disposing of evidence in an active investigation, that's a crime. So corruption being exposed. So essentially, me recording a whole video and you being able to see it but not hear it because the file was corrupted, okay? Digital file was corrupted. That was their plan to keep the dominoes from falling over. So essentially, they thought that their positions of authority would allow them to conceal and hide certain information that now, being that there was a mistrial, they're not going to be able to hide anymore. It's going to come out because they're going to have to explain away certain things. If we're going to retry this, and with all the media attention, it'd be hard to just disregard this whole thing now. If we're going to retry this, we have to fill in what didn't go right the first time to make sure we can get a conviction this time, as in the prosecution. So we need to re-question or re-look at certain things. And in doing so, what they thought they'd be able to hide before to keep that first domino from falling over, they're no longer able to hide. Is that fair to say? Manipulation, gaslighting, and control. They thought their manipulation, gaslighting, and control could keep the domino from falling over. Strategy, psychic abilities, intuition, correct. That was their strategy. Fraud, cybercrime, drugs, and poison. When you take a drug, you're taking it for yourself, right? So their actions and choices are about to catch back up to them in what they wanted to hide. Corruption in reverse, man-made disaster, avoidable in reverse. They're no longer able to avoid that corruption being exposed. They're not going to be able to avoid their corruption being exposed. And that's a warning. There's nothing they can do for their corruption to not be exposed, and John is warning them right now that it's coming. One card from each side of the deck. And then I'm going to stop this for now, and I'm going to go back into this a little bit later. I just want to attach that reading so you can, see I did it. And if you want to look at the cards that came out, you can do so. So a warning from John to them is how we're going to end this. Freedom. Surveillance. You think you have, there's a warning. You think you have your freedom, but everyone's watching. Allegedly, my opinion. All right, I'm going to pause this and I'm going to put the other video up so that you can watch it. Please remember, this is an energy reading. It's all alleged, my opinion, not facts.